And yet I see clearly thou hast not shown such favors to them as thou hast to me. But I know well, O my eternal God, thou keepest their reward in store, that thou mayest give it to them altogether, and that my weakness requires such treatment. But those others, like valiant men, serve thee without it, and so thou treatest them as thou wouldest people strong in courage, who have no interest of their own. But notwithstanding all this, thou knowest, O Lord, that often I cried out before thee, excusing those persons who spoke against me, because I thought they had too much reason for what they said. But this happened, O Lord, when already, through thy goodness, thou hast prevented me from offending thee so much, and when I was already endeavoring to avoid whatever might offend thee. And when I began to do this, thou, O Lord, didst begin to open thy treasures to this thy servant. And it seems thou didst expect nothing more, than that I might be inclined and prepared to receive them. So quickly didst thou begin, not only to bestow them, but to wish that men should know thou hast given them. And when this was known, some began to have a good opinion of me, though all were not aware how wicked I was. Still, a great deal of my wickedness transpired. Then men began, all at once, to calumniate me, and persecute me, and in my opinion, not without great cause. But still, I entertained no enmity against anyone, but only besought thee to consider what reasons they had. They said, that I wished to pass for a saint, and that I invented certain novelties, though I was not then able, by a great deal, even to fulfill all the duties of my rule, nor had I overtaken, in the way of virtue, those most pious and religious nuns who were in the monastery. And I think I shall never be able to arrive thereto, unless God in his goodness be pleased to perform everything on his side. Rather was I inclined to do away with everything which was good, and to establish certain customs which were not good. At least, I did what I could to introduce them. And in doing evil I always had power enough, and thus men blamed me without any fault of theirs. I do not say that they were nuns only. Other persons also told me truths, because thou didst permit them. When once I was saying my office, and came to this verse, Thou art just, O Lord, and thy judgments are right. As I was sometimes subject to this temptation, I began to consider how true these words were. In this respect, the devil never had any power to tempt me so far, as to make me doubt that thou, O Lord, art the author of all goodness. Nor could he prevail over me in anything relating to faith. Rather did it seem to me, that the more the articles of faith were above nature, the more firmly did I believe them, and the more devotion they excited within me. And as thou art omnipotent, all the manifestations of thy greatness which thou mightst display, I resolved upon to execute, and of this, as I have said, I had no doubt. And when I was afterwards considering how, since thou art just, thou couldst permit so many dear servants of thine to be without receiving those favors and caresses which thou didst bestow upon me, thou didst return this answer: Serve me, and do not trouble thyself about anything else. These were the first words which I heard you speak to me, and therefore I was greatly astonished thereat. I will afterwards declare this manner of hearing and understanding things, together with other matters. I do not wish to speak of them here, for they would be out of place, and I think I have wandered from my subject already. Indeed, I scarcely know what I have said. But it cannot be otherwise, and your reverence must bear with these interruptions. For when I consider how much God has endured from me, and when I see myself in this state, it will not be strange if I lose the thread of what I say, and of what I intend saying. May our Lord grant that all my wanderings may be of this kind, and may His Majesty never permit me to wander a hair's breadth from Him. Rather may I be consumed, even at this very moment. It is sufficient to consider His great mercies towards me, by which He has pardoned my base ingratitude, not once, but many times. He pardoned Peter once, but me He pardoned often. And hence, with reason did the devil tempt me, hoping that I would not pretend to hold any close friendship with one to whom I had been so public an enemy. How great was this blindness of mine! And where could I think, O my Lord, of finding any remedy but in Thee? What folly was it to fly from the light, and to go on forever stumbling in the dark? What an arrogant humility it was which the devil invented for me, by persuading me no longer to support myself against that pillar and staff which could prevent my fall from being so great! I am now at this moment blessing myself, for I think I never escaped so eminent a danger, as this deceit which the devil taught me by the way of humility. He made me think it would be impossible that so wretched a creature as I am, and who had received such great favors from God, should ever be able to arrive at mental prayer. That it would be sufficient if I said those vocal prayers to which I was bound, like all the others did. But that now, since I did not perform even these prayers well, why should I wish to do more? This would imply little reverence for God, and it would be undervaluing His favors. It was profitable to think and to know all this, but to put it in execution would have been a very great evil. Be Thou blessed, O Lord, who didst supply me with a remedy! For this temptation seems to have been nothing less than the beginning of that which the devil brought upon Judas. But the traitor did not dare to attack me so openly as he did Judas. He approached by little and little, just as he attacked him. Let all those who use mental prayer consider this well, for the love of God. Let them know that during the time I omitted using it, my life was much worse. Behold, what a fine remedy the devil gave me, and what admirable humility that was which produced in my soul only trouble and uneasiness. But how indeed could my soul find repose? The wretched creature abandoned her true repose. She remembered her favors and graces, and she found that the pleasures of the world were loathsome. I wonder how I could have remained so long in this state. It was with the hope that I might remain very free from sin. For as far as I remember, though now it is more than 21 years, I was always resolved to return to mental prayer. But oh, how ill-grounded was my hope! But though I afterwards gave myself to prayer and reading, which were capable of making me see the truth, and of discovering to me the evil course I was holding, and though I often prayed to our Lord with many tears, yet I was so very wicked and wretched, that I knew not how to help myself. And as moreover I began to omit these good practices, and to employ myself in idle pastimes, and to expose myself to many occasions of sin, having at the same time but very few helps, or rather I should say, none at all, what else could I expect but to lose my soul? I believe that a certain religious, of the order of St. Dominic, a very learned man, had much merit before God, for he it was who roused me from my lethargy. He made me, as I think I have already mentioned, receive the Blessed Sacrament every fortnight. And my misery being then not so great, I began to return to myself again, though I still committed some offences against our Lord. But because I had not lost my way, I still went on falling and rising by little and little. But he who perseveres in going forward, will at length arrive at the end of his journey, though perhaps late. To me it seems one and the same thing for a soul to lose her way and to leave off her prayer. May our Lord deliver us from this evil for His mercy's sake. The conclusion to be drawn from what I have said, and I desire it may be well attended to, for the love of our Lord, is this, that though a soul may arrive at such a degree as to induce our Lord to bestow many favors upon her in prayer, yet she must not place any confidence in herself, since she may fall. Nor must she on any account expose herself to occasions of sin. Let her consider this well, for the deceit which the devil may employ afterwards is very great, and though the favors received might most certainly be from God, yet the traitor will not fail to take advantage of these favors in whatever way he can, especially against persons who are not strong in virtue and mortification, nor entirely disengaged from this world. Such should remember that they are not, by means of this prayer, sufficiently fortified, as I shall afterwards declare, if they should place themselves in dangerous occasions, however strong their desires and resolutions may be. This is excellent doctrine, and it is not mine, but taught by God Himself, and so I shall be glad if all ignorant persons, like myself, would learn it, because though a soul may have arrived at this degree of prayer, she must never trust herself so far as to go forth